Good morning children, this is Neelam. Today we are going to study chemistry subject basically for 6th standard, and this is third session. Already we have been completed with the session number 1 and session number 2, and we were studying something important chapter whose name was what is chemistry all about. This is the first chapter, what is chemistry all about. Now in earlier session we have been introduced with a certain concept over there. We have been emphasized upon the word called as alchemy, right? Now who were alchemists, right? And from where it was derived we have been already studied. Now alchemy is a wrong belief system who was came forward from the countries called as Greek and Arab. These two countries started following up certain wrong belief system called as alchemy process, right? Those people were called as alchemists. And what was that wrong belief system or the alchemy? They were having the wrong assumption into their mind that whatever the base and cheap metal is there, that can be converted into the gold, precious metal or precious element called as gold. So from iron or from certain cheap copper metal, they have to get converted into the gold, which is very much impossible, right? So we have been already studied from small chunk of a rock. If you are recovering gold or any other cheap or baser metal, that base metal has to be get converted into the gold. Now gold is very, very precious. It has a certain attractive properties, and we are getting in a very rare in the earth crust. And if you are going to convert the base or cheap metal into the gold, that is very fantastic process, but this is highly impossible. The conversion of the cheap metal into the precious metal is highly impossible process. But these people, alchemists, the people from Greek and Arab, has that belief system into their mind that this cheap metal can be converted into gold. But absolutely that was considered to be wrong. Later on it is proved to be false. Right, that was a false belief system or superstitious system which was there among them. Then second was that imaginary liquid, elixir, which was called as elixir. Whenever a person drink this imaginary liquid, their lifespan or duration of lifetime will be going to increase. That was the second belief system. That is also very highly impossible, because we know that the one who born, they have to die, right? And it is all destined. Everybody is destined with a certain duration of lifetime. But what they have a belief system into their mind that if they drink this imaginary liquid, whatever the person is going through the disease, that disease can be cured out, and the lifespan of the person will be long lasting forever, and the people of that country will remain immortal. And that's highly impossible. People cannot remain immortal for a long duration of span, maybe about century or 2 century, around like that. It's highly impossible, because in today's new generation the lifespan of a person may be not more than 110, maybe. It depends upon the health of the person, right? But most probability the person's lifespan will be below 100 only, now if we consider from the today's generation lifestyle, right? So the alchemy was nothing but it was something, a wrong belief system which was adapted by certain people, group of people from certain countries like Arab and Greek, because Arab and Greek were the two countries who have been derived this alchemy process, right? So now we are going to begin with a new concept called as why alchemy failed. Now why this belief system, so-called conversion of cheap metal into gold, or the imaginary derivation of imaginary liquid called as elixir, is proven to be wrong, right? It is not proven to be successfully done at a certain stage of life. Why it is proven to be wrong, right? So there should be certain reason. So let's understand this concept from this topic. Now why alchemy failed? Why alchemy failed? The very basis of alchemy were incorrect. The very basics, whatever the basics were there, first initial 2 points which I said, the conversion of cheaper metal into the gold, or the consumption of elixir or imaginary liquid lead to the increase in duration of lifespan, these two basics were incorrect, right? So The alchemists, who are alchemists? The Greek and Arab people who are following that alchemy process. The alchemists accepted the ancient Greek belief. Alchemists, this group of people, accepted the ancient Greek belief system that everything is made up of 4 substances. They have a belief system, whatever the ancient Greek belief system is there, that they started following. Who? Greek and the Arab people, they started following that belief system that there are basically, the universe is made up of 4 substances. One is earth, second is fire, third one is air, and fourth one is water. So this was a belief system that the universe, entire universe is made up of 4 substances, which is earth, air, fire and water. So these are the basic 4 substances which was existed in this universe, and this was adapted by these people from ancient Greek belief. So whatever the ancient Greek believe, that belief system they carry forward by having the faith that the entire universe is made up of these 4 substances. First one is earth, fire, water and air, right? So these are the 4 substances were originated into this universe, right? So these are the 2 points. First point was saying that the very basics, whatever the basic concept was there of the alchemy was absolutely wrong, or it was incorrect, right? That was the first point. Now second point, the alchemists accepted the belief system of Greek, ancient Greek, whatever they have that belief, the same belief these people, alchemists, they started following up, that the entire universe is made up of 4 substances, and those are air, water, fire and earth. So these 4 substances are only present in this entire universe. This belief they had accused into their mind at that time. Now after that, and no substance could be simpler than this 4. So if these 4 substances are existing in this universe, no other substances are more simpler than this. So whatever these 4 substances are there, these 4 substances are there, these are the ultimate substances. Apart from this substance, no simpler substances is existing in this universe. They have that belief, right? So these are the basic substance. Basics means the fundamental substance which is present in this universe. Apart from this 4 substance, no other simpler or easier substance was present, right? Okay. Now simpler than this 4, which were called as elements. So these 4 substances are considered to be elements. Why they are considered to be elements? Because no other substance, simpler substance was present apart from that. So whatever the substance are there, these are the ultimate fundamental or basic foundation of universe. So apart from that, no other simpler substances present or formed in this entire universe. So thereby they started considering this 4 substance as an element. They started considering this 4 substance as an element. Why they started considering this 4 substance as an element? Because they started having that mentality into their mind that apart from these 4 substances, no other simple substance is present. These are the ultimate and the last fundamental substance present in this universe. So this 4 substance is considered to be the element of the universe, right? Okay. Now the alchemists tried to prepare substance. Now alchemists tried to prepare or derive certain new substance, forming certain new substance out of their choice by using these elements. So whatever these elements are there, air, water, earth and fire, so these 4 substances they took into consideration in order to prepare new substance of their own choice. So whatever they have to prepare, the new substance, new products into this universe, they took this as a raw material for the element for the production of new substances. I repeat this point once again. They took this 4 element as a raw material from which they started preparing new substances, right? They took this element as a raw material. Raw material means initial material for the production of new substances, right? So these are the four reason why the alchemy failed. Why the alchemy failed? Because whatever the basic fundamental process means whatever the fundamental substance which is called as earth, fire, air and water, they consider themselves as an element, right? Actually these are not the purest form of element. These are the substance from which new element can be derived, right, which has been formed into the earth crust and the other source from where the new purest form of a metal can be derived. But they consider this accessory part as an element. Understanding my point? So alchemy belief system was proven to be false. Why? First thing is their very basic concept was false. Their very basic concept was incorrect, right? That was the first point. What was that basic concept? Was that they started believing Greek belief system, whatever was there, ancient Greek belief system, whatever was there, that alchemists started believing the same thing, that the entire universe is made up of four substances. Those are earth, air, water, fire. So this four substances they started considering as an element, right? They started considering as an element. Why they started considering as an element? Because they have that thing, mentality into their mind, that apart from this four substances, no other substances are simpler, right? So these substances are considered to be the more basic fundamental process present in this earth, or present in fact into this universe, right? So they consider these four substances as the element, right? Now the alchemists, this group of people, they started trying to recover certain new substance out of this element. So whatever these four elements were there, out of this four element, new substance they started deriving, new substance they started producing, right? So this is the reason why the alchemy process was proven to be wrong, or it is considered to be false, right? Okay, now we'll begin towards the new concept. Now after this alchemy process came forward, the new concept of the beginning of modern chemistry came into existence. The beginning of modern chemistry initiated after the alchemy process, right? Now what was the beginning of modern chemistry says? Let's understand this. In the later half of the 18th century AD, there was a scientist whose name was Lavoisier. Lavoisier found that the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen explodes when ignited and water drops are formed. Now this pure chemistry started from the 18th century. Basically it has been started from the 17th century only, but Lavoisier was that person who started discovering the initiation or beginning of a new chemistry. This was the ancient chemistry who was discovered by the two group of people from the two countries called as Greek and Arab. They started have a wrong belief system into their mind, by adapting the process of alchemy. But after the alchemy process, the new beginning of a new era of chemistry started taking place, and this took place from the 18th century by the scientist named as Lavoisier. Lavoisier said that the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, these are the two elements now, right? In the new chemistry, the new modern chemistry, here this element was considered to be the pure form of element, right? And these elements were not the purest form. Earth, fire, air, these are not the purest form. In fact, from this we are deriving certain new substances. Now whatever the new substances are derived, those are considered to be the element. But the alchemists started believing these are only the element. But modern chemistry say that from these four substances, new element has been derived, new substance derived, and that new substance is nothing but considered to be the element. Now hydrogen and oxygen is the element which was derived into the air or the earth. In fact, into this from these four substances itself. So Lavoisier found that the mixture means the combination of hydrogen and oxygen explodes when ignited. So what this person did have discovered that when hydrogen and oxygen combine to each other, when hydrogen and oxygen combined to each other, they exploded, right? They blasted, they exploded by igniting. Igniting means when you just put the fire to that, right? Hydrogen catch fire. Are you understanding? Hydrogen catch fire, oxygen support the fire to burn. So hydrogen is a fuel. If you consider hydrogen as an element, it is the purest form of fuel. So when you ignite hydrogen with the help of oxygen which is present into the atmosphere, hydrogen catches fire, right? So whenever hydrogen is ignited means just put on fire, right? So when you put on fire, the oxygen, the gas which is present in the atmosphere, that will support the hydrogen to burn, right? So hydrogen, when it was put on fire, right, the oxygen which was present from the atmosphere, it will combine with the hydrogen to form droplets of water. Now what is H2O? H2O is water, right? Droplets of water. How does the H2O derived? The H2O has been derived when the hydrogen was ignited. When the hydrogen fuel has been ignited means put on fire, the oxygen from the atmosphere will come and combine with this hydrogen to form a new substance called as H2O, and H2O is nothing but what it is? Water, right? So Lavoisier, that person has that belief or discovered that whenever the hydrogen, the mixture means the combination, whenever the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen was exploded means blasted, by igniting it, a new substance was formed, right, which was water, right? Water drops are formed, right? So that was a new chemistry, and this new chemistry was not explained by the alchemy. Alchemist was saying that these four substances are there, and these four substances are nothing but those are the elements. But the new chemistry did not, the modern chemistry did not said like that. In fact, the modern chemistry started, believing or discovering new substances, or these new substances are nothing but they are present in the purest form, which are called as elements. So hydrogen and oxygen, when the hydrogen was put on ignition or exploded, when the combination of hydrogen and oxygen is taking place, by igniting it, a new substance was formed which was nothing but called as water, H2O, right? Thus Lavoisier proved that water itself is still made up of simpler substance called as hydrogen and oxygen. I repeat once again, thus Lavoisier proved that water itself is made up of still simpler substance called as hydrogen and oxygen. So whatever water has been formed, it is derived or made up of still simpler substance which are nothing but hydrogen and oxygen, right? Because water has been derived from these two substances, and these two substances are nothing but they are called as element, right? So modern chemistry is saying like this, right? Whatever hydrogen and oxygen, when they are combining by ignition, it is producing certain new substance, right? So whatever the new substance water is formed, it is not considered to be element. In fact, whatever it is used as an initial point for the formation of new substance, right? Whatever the here it has been used for the formation of new substance. This raw material, hydrogen and oxygen are the raw material which has to be combined with each other to form a new substance. So these raw materials are present in a very purest form. Thereby these raw materials are called as element, because these are the simpler form. Hydrogen is the simplest form, oxygen is the simplest form. These two simplest form will combine together to form a certain new substance which is no more simpler form. Understanding my point? So thereby the modern chemistry says that whatever the new substance is formed, that substance has been derived from the simpler substance which are called as element, right? So this was all about the beginning of the modern chemistry, right? So we'll recap once again. Why alchemy failed? Alchemy has been failed because the very basic concept was very incorrect. Whatever the basic or fundamental concept was there, that was incorrect, right? Second was that alchemists accepted the ancient Greek belief system. Whatever the ancient Greek belief system is there, this alchemist started believing that the entire universe is made up of 4 substances. Which are those 4 substances? Air, water, fire, earth. So these 4 substances they started considering as an element. They started considering this 4 substances as an element because they have a mentality, they have that mentality into their mind. These are the simpler one. No other simpler substance is present apart from that, below that. So they started considering this as a fundamental raw material, right? So they started considering them as an element, right? So from this element only, this alchemist started trying to recover the new substances, right? So from this element only they started producing the new substances, right? So thereby the alchemy was proven to be wrong. But apart from that, the beginning of modern chemistry started taking place. So that was the ancient chemistry, whatever we studied, having the belief system of wrong alchemy process. Then the new beginning of the modern chemistry took place, and this took place in the 18th century. Right, in the later half of the 18th century, the person named as Lavoisier, he started discovering certain new thing. What he discovered? He said that whatever the hydrogen and oxygen, the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, when they explode by igniting, when they explode, how they can explode? By putting them on fire. So hydrogen is a fuel. So when hydrogen is burnt to fire, the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere, it will support hydrogen to burn, right? So the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen, when it explodes, it will produce certain new substance called as water, right? Or droplets of water started forming. So he proved, who proved? Lavoisier proved that water is a substance which has been derived from the simpler substance called as simpler element called as hydrogen and oxygen. So hydrogen and oxygen is considered to be the element because it is present in the purest form. It is a raw material for the production of certain new substance called as water, right? Now this is the continuation of the same concept called as the beginning of modern chemistry. Now in the first point we have been already studied how Lavoisier, that is in 18th century, how he proved when the mixture of hydrogen and oxygen was exploded by igniting it, a new substance was formed which was called as water. So here hydrogen and oxygen was considered to be element, right? Now this took place in 18th century, but prior to 18th century, before to 18th century, in 17th century only, the beginning of new chemistry took place because there was a person whose name was Robert Boyle. Robert Boyle. What he did was that, let's understand here. However, many scientists consider modern chemistry to have begun in the 17th century itself. Many chemistries, right, or many scientists, in fact I would like to say chemist, not chemistry, chemist. So however, many scientists or many chemists put forward their steps by saying that the beginning of modern chemistry took place in the 17th century only. But Lavoisier, he said that from 18th century only the new beginning took place by saying that hydrogen and oxygen was exploded to form water. But not like that, but it took place from 17th century only. How come this possible that the name of the person who said that or who prepared certain new element, the name was Robert Boyle, right? This guy, that is Robert Boyle, had prepared a hydrogen then, right? In 17th century only he prepared hydrogen. Who? Robert Boyle. And this hydrogen who was prepared by Robert Boyle took forward by Lavoisier in 18th century, or identified that element as a century later, right? So Robert Boyle has prepared hydrogen element in the 17th century. So whoever scientist came forward by saying that the modern beginning of the modern chemistry did not took place in 18th century. However, it took place from 17th century. How come? Because the Robert Boyle, he started preparing a new substance called as hydrogen from 17th century only, and by later 18th century Lavoisier identified that element, right? Okay, so therefore many scientists said that the modern chemistry took place, or the beginning of that chemistry, modern chemistry took place in 17th century only, right? So several elements, the third point is, several elements were discovered thereafter. Not only hydrogen, oxygen was discovered at that time, several means many elements were discovered thereafter. Means after 18th century many elements were discovered, and today the number is 115, right? Today 115th element there are totally till known, right? Okay, or so on means many elements are discovering still now, right? Okay, so thereafter means after 18th century several elements have been discovered, and up till now 115 elements are known up till here, right? And so on, right? So the fourth point says that when two or more elements combine together, right? What is element? Element is the purest form of a substance, right? Purest form is like how I explained earlier. Here also I'll explain the same thing. When two elements, when new raw materials, when they combine together, when the mixture of two raw materials combine together, new substance is formed. That raw material will be present in the purest form, and that material was considered to be an element, right? Okay, when two or more elements were combined, new substance was formed, and that new substance is nothing but considered to be a compound. What it is considered to be? Compound. When two or more elements combine together, a new substance is formed which is called as compound. Okay, now for example hydrogen and oxygen combine with each other. When hydrogen was put on fire, the oxygen from the atmosphere, it will support hydrogen to burn out or explode to form a new substance which was called as compound, which is nothing but water, right? So whenever the hydrogen and oxygen was combining together, it will form a new substance which is called as compound. Now that compound is nothing but water, right? So what was the hydrogen and oxygen was considered to be? Hydrogen and oxygen, since they are a raw material, they are present in the purest form. So therefore hydrogen and oxygen are considered to be elements, right? So these are the elements. When these two elements combine together, they will form a new substance which is called as compound, right? So when hydrogen and oxygen is combining, a water droplet is formed which is considered to be a compound. Let's take a second example, the common salt. You people are using common salt in your food, right? That common salt is nothing but NaCl, sodium chloride. How does the NaCl is formed, right? Here Na means sodium. What is Na? Sodium, right? And Cl means chlorine or chloride. Sodium chloride. Okay, so when sodium, right, Na, when sodium and chlorine or chloride are combining together, right? Now sodium is considered to be element and chlorine is considered to be, consider this to be a chlorine. When sodium and chlorine are combining together, and now this sodium and chlorine are the elements, they are present in the purest form, right? So when sodium and chlorine are combining together, they will form a new substance. Called as NaCl. Na plus Cl will give you NaCl. Now NaCl is a new substance which is called as compound, right? It is also called as compound. What is the name of this new compound? Sodium chloride. What is the name of this substance or compound? Sodium chloride. So sodium chloride is considered to be the name of this right? So how the sodium chloride is formed? Sodium chloride is formed when a sodium and chlorine will combine together, a new substance is formed which is called as sodium chloride, and this sodium chloride is considered to be a compound, right? So this is very, very important. When two or more elements combine together, it will form a new substance called as compound, right? So this is very important. So what we studied here in this chapter, in this concept, basically we studied first concept, why the alchemy was failed, why the alchemists who are trying to follow up the alchemy process, that was considered to be wrong. Why so? That we studied. Right? Apart from that, how the beginning of modern chemistry took place from 18th century, not from 18th century, actually it took place from 17th century itself, right? And what is all about the element, right? Then we studied about how the compound is formed. So in this chapter, or basically in this concept, we studied all these things, basic properties or basic fundamental process in more detail. Now later on we'll study about some interesting topics, so called classification of elements, and then atoms and molecules, and how the different scientists came forward to carry on the chemistry subject in more detail. Okay, that we'll study later on in different session. Thank you.